So we've reached the point where I can start adding the fill. I've got it sanded down to where I'm going to sand it. Just going to use some of this aqua coat. It's just clear, like a pour fill or a grain fill, I guess you would call it. No magic here either. Just get a little bit of stuff on a paper towel. Try to stay away from the sides. Just gotta make sure it's worked in there good. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that. It's gonna focus. Hopefully it does. Alright, so I haven't polished these yet, but the lacquer's on them. You can see some nice figure and color popping. Something was bothering me about these though, is I felt like, I mean, this is really cool, but I felt like it needed something else. And so I decided I would add an accent stripe along the bottom of this piece. So ultimately it'll look, see if I can get this on here. So it looks something like that. Hopefully that focuses. See the accent strip along the bottom? Maybe I can get it to focus. I think that looks sharp. Having that, just that extra stripe of color along the bottom instead of just having it all black. So I just am going to use a strip of maple like shim stock to create this like stripe, and then, you know, obviously flush it up. And then once I get it polished, we're pretty much there. But definitely think that adds something to the pickup. All right, so I got my pieces glued on, and it's looking good. Now I just have to do a little nitpicky work here. Just take a razor blade. It's a lot like scraping binding. And just make sure it's nice and flush with these edges. That's pretty good. So, got this piece all made. So I've got my little, that line that I wanted. It's sort of like, I don't know, I guess it'd be like white walls on a tire. Yeah, see, I really like the way that line kind of offsets it. All right, so all that's left is polishing, and then I can attach these guys and fire them. Okay, so now I've got some lacquer sprayed on these guys. As you can see, hopefully it focuses. There's a little bit of a texture. Can you see that? Just a little bit of a texture to that. It looks really good, but I want to knock down that texture a little bit. Make it a little flatter. First things first, I'm going to use some of these micro mash pads. I'm starting at pretty high grit. I'm starting at about 4,000. Typically I would start closer to 1,800, but I'm going to start at 4,000 for these because it's really, the lacquer is very, very thin. You can use micro mash wet or dry. I like wet because it stops it from loading up so much and scratching the surface as you polish. So we're going to go 4,000, 6,000 grit, 8,000 grit, and then finally 12,000 grit. Just guy loaded up. And let's see here. Here we go. All right. So there we've got it. That's after 4,000 grit. You can see it's already looking a lot flatter compared to where we were at before. Again, this doesn't look bad, but this looks a lot flatter. Not as much texture. All right. You can take this guy up to 6,000 grit. Doesn't take much water, just a tiny little bit. And then finally to 12,000 grit. This is as fine as I'm going to go with the micro mesh. All right, so this is after the micro mesh. As you can see, it's looking pretty good. Nice and shiny. There's one step left. Some of this Meguiar's swirl remover. It's used in an auto body, and it will add that last little bit of polish, make it look really nice. So just take it and apply it. Little circular patterns. All right, and there it is. See if I can get it to focus. This camera. And there it is, all buffed out. You can really see the figure shine on that guy now. As compared to when I started. Kind of see the difference between the two. So anyway, so this is done. And I'm just going to go through the same process for the other two pieces, and then these will be all set to glue on. All right, so I finished clamping these up. So these are attached. I use a, you can see that it's got the cool racing stripe there. I use a marine type epoxy to hold these guys on so that I don't ever really worry about moisture or anything like that. And it holds like a mother. So you can see, hopefully you can see, I got my racing stripe. Top looks nice. And there, it's attached. And of course, my my writing on the bottom. So these guys are, for all intents and purposes, all done. And there you have it. That's that is how I do these custom orders.